Hello guys, welcome to a new video. Today we are going to talk about why mobile game development in Unreal Engine 5 is a significantly more complex and demanding process than people usually think. In my experience as a software engineer specializing in game development, I have participated in the design and programming of different projects for multiple platforms. Throughout this time, I have found that one of the greatest technical challenges is developing and optimizing a video game for mobile devices, especially when using a graphics engine designed for high fidelity like Unreal Engine 5. Let's start with the first point, the overall performance of Unreal Engine 5 on mobile devices. When you create a project in this engine, you are using a tool whose base architecture was designed specifically for video game consoles and desktop computers. This means that Unreal Engine, by default, assumes it has access to a constant and high amount of processing resources. For this reason, the system includes a large number of automated background processes that are activated by default, such as basic audio management, the constant update cycle, or internal memory control. As a result of this, a completely empty project that contains no characters, textures, or game logic already requires a lot of processing effort from a cell phone's hardware. Therefore, unlike other development engines that were built with mobile devices in mind from the start, in Unreal Engine you have to do the work in reverse. By this I mean that you must manually look for and disable dozens of rendering tools, code libraries, and advanced modules that come turned on by default and won't be used on a mobile screen. If you leave these systems activated, the phone's processor will waste its computing power just to keep the application running, meaning you won't have resources left to process the actual mechanics and programming of your video game. So, a clear example of this is Lumen, which is the real-time global illumination and reflection system of Unreal Engine 5. Although this technology already works in mobile environments today, the technical reality is that it is strictly limited to high-end Android devices that support the most recent graphics APIs. As a result of this, if you leave this system turned on, you will automatically exclude a massive percentage of potential users who do not have a phone with latest generation processors. Therefore, if you want your video game to be compatible and reach the largest number of mobile devices on the market, it is recommended to disable it completely. To easily disable it, you just need to go to Project Settings, enter the Rendering tab, scroll down until you locate the Global Illumination section, and change the Lumen parameter to None. Another outstanding feature of Unreal Engine 5 is Nanite, which faces a very similar situation. Nanite is Unreal Engine 5's virtualized geometry system that allows the processing of millions of polygons directly on the screen. For this reason, although the engine has started to implement support and testing for this technology on latest generation mobile processors, the reality is that the vast majority of commercial cell phones do not have the graphics architecture or memory bandwidth required to run this level of geometry processing. Furthermore, Nanite requires deferred rendering, while mobile games usually use forward shading to optimize performance and battery life. As a result of this, if you keep this option active or import models with extremely high polygon densities relying on this tool, your video game will experience severe screen freezing problems or unexpected application crashes on standard devices. It is recommended to disable global support for this system and work with the traditional method of manual optimization. Just like these adjustments to the rendering systems, there are more options and internal tools within the engine that you will need to disable to free up resources in a mobile game. Among these additional functions that you must disable are technologies like mobile HDR to process colors in a standard range, or the anti-aliasing system TSR, temporal super resolution. So guys, try to keep the project free of these advanced functions to prevent the phone's processor from working twice as hard unnecessarily. Now let's look at the second point. We run into the problem of input and the user interface. Interaction and design tools within Unreal Engine 5 are natively structured to respond to independent physical peripherals, such as a keyboard, a mouse, or console controller buttons. Therefore, for a mobile video game to work correctly, you are forced to program the controls manually using widgets. Although Unreal Engine already includes default touch joysticks on the screen, these built-in tools are very basic and limited. For this reason, the best option is to completely disable that automatic system in the engine and set up your own custom controls manually. By this, I mean you need to design graphical elements on the screen, such as virtual buttons or touch joysticks within a widget blueprint, and write specific code for that interface to register the user's physical touches. Then, the workflow changes completely, because you have to link each visual interaction of the widget directly to the character's internal functions through references or communication interfaces. For this reason, a basic command like walking or shooting is no longer resolved by simply pressing a physical key. Instead, it requires an additional programming structure that verifies the finger press on the screen, determines if the touch is valid, and sends that exact information to your character's logic so it can execute the action. To help you solve this whole part directly, we have our Easy Joystick system on the channel. This tool is specifically designed to solve this exact problem, as it is very easy to use, customize, and implement in your mobile projects. Additionally, you won't have any trouble setting it up, because the system comes with detailed integration tutorials that explain step-by-step how to easily add it to your own game. Having a ready-made tool saves you from having to program this entire system from scratch. This is a huge help because, otherwise, as a mobile game developer, you would face twice the technical complexity in your programming. You would have to manually fix every problem using code inside the widget blueprint, making the testing and debugging process much slower and more demanding compared to other platforms. The third critical point is rendering optimization within the mobile environment. Unreal Engine 5 uses a deferred rendering pipeline by default designed for video game consoles, which processes lighting, shadows, and materials pixel by pixel on high-resolution screens. However, the graphics processing unit of a standard cell phone immediately becomes overloaded when trying to handle that amount of simultaneous information. You are forced to modify the project's base configuration to activate the mobile forward renderer. Therefore, the way you build your environments will change, as this system strictly limits the number of visual features that can be displayed at the same time. By this, I mean you must manually control the number of draw calls, technically known as draw calls. Each individual object you place in your level and each unique material you assign requires the central processing unit to send a direct graphics instruction to the video processor. So, if you design an environment with hundreds of independent elements, the smartphone's processor will drastically drop in performance trying to organize those requests. For this reason, the simplest solution consists of consolidating your 3D elements using mesh combining tools like instant static meshes and grouping multiple textures into a single file through a unified map or texture atlas. With this, you manage to reduce hundreds of graphics instructions to a single command processed in a single memory block. Therefore, optimization on mobile devices is not simply about reducing the polygon count, but about correctly structuring the visual code so that the phone's hardware performs the fewest operations per second possible. The next critical aspect is the project size versus mobile specifications. On desktop platforms or consoles, a final installation file of 20 or 30 gigabytes is completely acceptable and normal for users. For this reason, a PC developer does not need to worry strictly about the individual size of each texture, audio, or animation during the intermediate stages of design. So, when transferring that same workflow to mobile devices, you run into very strict physical storage limits and download restrictions in digital stores like Google's Google Play Store and Apple's App Store. Therefore, a project packaged directly with the base configurations of Unreal Engine 5 can reach hundreds of megabytes without even having added real content or game mechanics. By this, I mean you are forced to perform meticulous compression work that is not required on other platforms, configuring mobile-specific texture formats like ASDC, manually reducing the resolution of texture maps, and debugging the engine's native libraries to remove dead code. For this reason, making the game small enough for a user to decide to download it on their cell phone becomes a continuous optimization challenge exclusive to mobile development. The fourth point represents one of the most complex technical barriers in the entire process, which is configuring the development environment involving Android Studio, the NDK, and the JDK. Unlike exporting for PC, where you only need to have Visual Studio installed and then press a button inside the editor, the Android ecosystem forces you to integrate external programming tools that constantly change versions. The initial platform preparation process is much more prone to failure compared to any desktop operating system. For example, if you install an incorrect version of Android Studio, or if the Java components, JDK, and native C++ development libraries, NDK, do not exactly match the specific compatibility required by your version of Unreal Engine 5, the engine will completely fail when trying to generate the APK or AAB file. Therefore, a minimal mismatch in the numbering of these external components will cause massive compilation errors, and often the Unreal editor will not clearly explain why these errors occur, leaving you with abstract error messages inside the command console. By this, I mean that the developer must dedicate hours of initial work solely to manually coordinating these external dependencies before being able to test the actual performance of their game. For this reason, configuring the mobile environment is perceived as a significantly more complex task than on PC, becoming the first technical filter that stops the progress of projects before they can be executed on a touchscreen. The fifth point covers the phenomenon of thermal throttling and how it directly affects the processor or CPU. Unlike computers or video game consoles that have fans to cool down, cell phones do not have any ventilation and can only release heat through their own body. So, when you run a video game developed in Unreal Engine 5 that demands constant effort from the device, the phone's processor heats up very quickly. As a result of this, the cell phone's operating system automatically reduces the CPU clock speed to protect the integrated circuits from permanent heat damage. Therefore, even if your video game runs smoothly and with an acceptable frame rate during the first few minutes of execution, you will notice a drastic drop in performance once the hardware begins to limit its own computing power to cool down. This means you are forced to optimize the logic programming based on blueprints or C++ by eliminating heavy repetitive processes. For example, you should not use the tick function to check secondary data at every moment of the game. Additionally, the processor overloads when the map has design errors, such as having too many overlapping lights or flaws in the weather and sky effects. This forces the system to perform unnecessary calculations to process those warnings. For this reason, fixing every error warning and programming game operations to occur at controlled time intervals is mandatory to consume less power and prevent the phone from heating up and losing performance. So, the last important point has to do with the design of the system to make money with your game, known as free-to-play. The vast majority of people who play on cell phones prefer to download applications for free. For this reason, you are forced to look for ways to generate revenue within the game itself, whether by selling virtual items, offering subscriptions, or showing advertisements. In this way, programming in Unreal Engine 5 must not only ensure that the game runs well and is fun, but it must also constantly connect to external internet services to process user payments and display advertising correctly. That is why you often need to install external tools so that your game can connect with advertising systems and with the Google Play Store and App Store. This makes the video game's programming more laborious, since you must write specific code that checks if the user has internet, processes payments securely, and updates the inventory saved on the phone without any errors. Any error in these connections will make you lose money or cause digital stores to reject your video game and not let you publish it. So, it is clear that creating a video game for cell phones in Unreal Engine 5, even today with the arrival of Unreal Engine 5.8 and all the improvements they offer, still requires a lot of time and dedication. For this reason, seeing your own project work correctly and smoothly on a cell phone screen, after solving so many performance problems, is one of the greatest satisfactions you will have as a game creator. Unfortunately, as a result of this, the technical difficulty causes many people to stop developing their video games before finishing them. Therefore, to help you move faster and prevent you from spending entire days trying to solve the code on your own, on this channel we have tools created specifically for mobile projects. By this I mean you have ready-to-use systems at your disposal, such as the Control Kit Deluxe, the Mobile Inventory Kit, the Control Kit Deluxe S2, the Easy Joystick, the Custom HUD Mobile Pro, and the Mobile Game Template. For this reason, you do not need to program the screen buttons or storage menus from scratch. Additionally, each of these systems includes step-by-step explanatory videos, so you can easily integrate them into your own game. Remember, the key to standing out in this industry is to never stop learning. Video game development changes constantly, so I encourage you to keep learning, testing new tools, and improving your skills every day, since every solved problem makes you a better programmer. If this video helped you understand how to improve your projects, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming guides. I also invite you to comment below about what obstacles you have encountered when creating mobile games. That's all, guys. See you in the next video.